was informed that I must record this game. So, having been informed of that, I am going to go ahead and do so. This was made extra difficult by a couple of different things. First of all, my opponent, Ezen here, won the dice roll, but that's not one of the things that made it extra difficult. That happens. What made it extra difficult was that I misplayed, and I misplayed as a result of being frustrated because I made a change to the deck and saved it, I thought, and then in the middle of the game I found out that the change I made didn't take, and the card I needed was the one that I drew. The card that I would have drawn was the one worthless to me, and the card I needed was exactly what I replaced it with. So anyway, my opponent goes first. He gets turn 1 Sol Ring, so he's a good start. Luckily I'm able to keep up with him a bit, so I strip his forest down, hoping that he kept a low mana hand just because of the ring, especially considering that he's down to 5 cards, because the Greaves don't produce mana. So I get down with Pilgrim. So actually his 2 mana versus my 2 mana, I actually like mine better. So only difference is he's got 6 cards in hand and a Greaves. I've got 4 cards in hand and no Greaves. So he's still up mana thanks to the power of Sol Ring. And so he grips my diamond. Could have been pretty back-breaking. Unfortunately, I top-deck a land there to go with and it's the exact right kind of land I need. It's a forest. So I go get Praga Treespeaker. If I didn't have a green, I might have had to rethink that. So it worked out nicely. And boom, just like that, I've got my own Sol Ring. And so I witness and pick up Strip Mine because I really want to keep his mana suppressed, and his mana is not looking too good here. He doesn't have blue or white. If I can keep hitting his green before he's able to use the green to find more mana, like, play a Cultivate or something, then I could potentially buy myself a ton of time. So strip the green again, and go for Hermit. So even though my opponent, I'm going to go ahead and minimize Queen. We'll just leave his Rafik here. Even though my opponent got a turn 1 Sol Ring going first, I've without too much trouble managed to turn this game around. I think it's looking pretty favorable for me. So normally I don't actually pay the echo cost on Hermit, but when I'm laying beat down like that, I did. And here was the card that was driving me crazy all game. This card, that Adele, was taken out of the deck list hours ago and replaced with Expedition Map. Expedition Map is amazing because it goes and gets Cradle, also Wasteland and Strip and color fixing. So look at the board position here and look at how much better my hand would be if I could go get Gaia's Cradle right now. I just keep noticing that over the course of this game here. So I thought pretty much I had it wrapped up, but my opponent, what was he going to do with all planes, right? Other than maybe sweep the board. One thing I was hoping he wouldn't do. But actually he gets a Sun Titan, so oops, there go the Strip Mines, Greaves, and oops, there goes the other Strip Mine. I could take 7 for my trouble. So I thought I had it all wrapped up, and then, man, one fell swoop completely undoes all my work. Which is pretty cool, actually. Makes things a lot more interesting. It's one of the great things about Commander is stuff like that happens. Just look at, my mana situation, how much better it would be if I could just go get either Cradle or Blue Source for the bribery there. So frustrating. Anyway, so I've got a worthless data, and I get down with Elves of Deep Shadow. And because I don't really have much else to do, I decided what I'm going to do is I'm going to level up the Treespeaker a few times, because he's an elf, but this is also an elf, and this is also an elf, so I could potentially be turning these into Sol Rings. And the more mana the better, especially when I'm on the back foot like this. My opponent top decks a Borderland Ranger right on time to get his island Or maybe he already had it and the green suppression was working up until the Titan. Okay, I'm going to go check out Brian's game sort of right after this recording. So that down comes Rafik. And now all kinds of nasty stuff happens. Anyway, too much damage from that Titan, so I just throw a squirrel in front. Chomp. And there's the blue I need. So, what do? Well, I'll tell you, I don't think what you do is play Thada Adel. So, the play here, from what I can tell, is bribery. So I get down with bribery. Of course, if Thada Adel was a cradle, like I've been saying this whole time, or a map, which would have got me cradle, man, I'd be set right now. Anyway, so I level this up twice, and then tap these two for green mana, so basically this was free to level up. And then I bribery him. And these were my choices. He's got an interesting deck. A little bit low on the power level, but it's got a lot of bombs, and it certainly has like game-winning cards like Armageddon and Cyclonic Rift. I mean, imagine an end-turn Rift, untap Armageddon play, So Hikori Dustdrinker does the same kind of concept here, Primus and stuff. So what I should have got was one of two things. I should have gotten Phantasmal Image, cloned his Titan, got my Strip Mine back, and then we can just play a little game where he gets his island and I get my Strip Mine over and over. Actually, the way it would go down is I get my Strip Mine back and strip his island, and then if he swings to get his island back, I chump with Witness, and now Titan's pumping out Witness every turn, which would pick up bribery, which would end the game. So he wouldn't be able to swing. So that's one option. The other option was go get Trinket Mage. And if this doggone Thada had been a map, I could go get Trinket Mage, play the Cradle, Trinket into Skull Clamp, and go absolutely crazy. But as I really was super focused on that Skull Clamp Cradle thing and how much it was bothering me, I didn't think hard about what my options were. I was frustrated, as agitated, right? So I went with Primus to kill Greaves. Now this is a terrible play on any number of levels. First of all, he's just going to attack with Titan and Greaves pop back out. Secondly, if I can block, little guys with Primus, but if I chump or block a big guy with Primus and it dies, it's going to persist onto his side of the board. And he kills my blue. So had I cloned the Sun Titan, this wouldn't matter. Now, of course, with this worthless Thada Adel in my hand, I am also missing blue. And then, to make matters worse, he gets a Rhystic Study out. So now I'm just like, oh my gosh, why didn't I clone the Sun Titan? Anyway, Squirrel eats it for me, and then he re-equips his Titan. So this looks like I'm probably going to lose. Can't really cast spells. I mean, I throw down a Shackles here. And the thing is, like, if this were Cradle and I had cloned his Titan, even disregarding the Clamp option, if I'd cloned his Titan there, he wouldn't have been able to kill the Cradle, and he wouldn't have been able to shut off my red. And so I would have had Cradle Queen, and Cradle Queen's nearly unstoppable. Just, I played badly. Anyway, so I knew I had to shake it off and finish the game. And at first I thought this was Rogue's something or other that makes him unblockable. Turns out it's just an anti-offense card. Wasn't feeling too bad about that. So take a look. I don't know if you see this play, but that Dryad Arbor was very timely. Not now. Yeah, and to make matters even worse, he's taunted him seeing wins out. But now, look at that. 1-2, exactly what I needed. So I really have nothing, so I just replay that. So now my opponent's drawing 2 cards a turn. So the play is block Titan with Dryad Arbor, pick up the Arbor to untap whatever I want. I just target the Arbor. Fails because it's not there. Go Quirion Ranger. And then I top deck Skullclamp. So all of a sudden I'm back in this game. So first thing I do is clamp the Witness, because it's not an elf, it's not a mana source, it's not useful at all. And look at that. Oh man, just gotta love this deck. War Shards gets down. Clamp Pilgrim, he's not an elf, so I figured it'd be fine. Looking for a creature so I can get rid of Honden before Honden wrecks me. Now unfortunately I've already played the Arbor this turn. So then I go for top to dig. And I realize I can't keep doing that because I'm going to open myself up to a pretty nasty attack. So seeing that it's not going to do anything, he doesn't swing with his Titan, which actually was a mistake, as it allows me to not have to pick it up. And I see these with top. Put the Wayfarer on top. And there goes the Honden of Seeing Winds, which fortunately Sun Titan will not. Oh, sorry, I killed the Rhystic Study, but only to tap for some mana and kill the Honden of Seeing Winds. That way I can cast spells this turn without having to have my mana messed with. And the spell I want to cast most is Terastodon, so Dead Soul Ring, double Forest Island, back to where we were at before, with no forests. And I was thinking he wouldn't be able to swing with Titan because Terastodon would block. I mean, he'd first strike the Titan, and then after that, I mean, the Titan would first strike the Terastodon, but the Terastodon would live, and then after that, I got him, right? So I'm like dinking around over here with a few things. I put the Skullclamp on the Squirrel token so I can trade with an Elephant and still draw cards. And it would actually kill the Elephant. But look at this. Doggone Warhammer. Probably off the top. Hard to say. But no more. I'm not going to be able to block the Terastodon, or block with Terastodon now. And of course I can't block with Primus because it'll persist because I was stupid and got a Primus. So look at this thing. It's a monster. And what do? Well, there's really nothing I could do. I just took the damage because, I mean, frankly, trading a guy now would mean that I wouldn't, even a squirrel would mean I wouldn't have a blocker for an elephant later, and I'm probably going to need every blocker I can get since I'm taking a monster hit. 1 life now or save 3 life later, you know. So, but, although this still isn't a map, this says go get Gaia's Cradle. And in these long games, that is the secret, that is the magic. Get Gaia's Cradle, win game. It's the strategy I fall back on plenty. So, I tap the Deranged Hermit for mana and then eat him. Start looking. I'm starting to dig. All I really want to do is find a couple of creatures so that I can kill Loxodon, Warhammer, and the Greaves. Even just Lox. Because if he swings with the Titan, the Lox would pop back out, but then I could still block the Titan and kill it, and that problem's solved. So I found the best use for Thada Adel, drawing Force of Will. And look at this. I cannot find a creature for the life of me. Cannot find one. And of course I had to use my land drop to do Cradle. I no longer have the Arbor. So I finally find a creature, but he costs blue and I don't have it. So I just go down with Darn, or get down with Karn rather. I can't exile the Sun Titan because of the Lightning Greaves and my lack of a creature, so I exile the Hammer. But at least the Hammer's gone. And then very carefully play Birthing Pod and pod away the Elves of Deep Shadow. Or no, excuse me, untap the Elves of Deep Shadow and pod away the Quirion Ranger. I had to pod something, and I needed chump blockers so that if he swung, he wouldn't kill me, but he'd lose guys, and I could still live if he swung with all of them. And of course I go get Stoneforge, and finally that gives me a creature, so I'm able to kill the Greaves as well. And pick up my Jite. With Force of Will back up, I feel decent. I mean, he can Alpha Strike. Titan would die. Rafik would die. Elephant gets blocked by a 1/4. And then that leaves 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 damage to deal with. Trump block, and he only hits me for 4. So he would lose this, and he would hit me for 4. I would only lose this and this. Not a good situation for him, actually. So I just discard down like that, and he gives up. So here's the deck editor, or the deck list without Thada Adel. I hope you enjoyed the game. As you can see, that's what it's supposed to be, and you can see why now. I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.